A young train stewardess begins her first day of work on a normal-looking train with several hundred passengers. Some are traveling for work, while others are simply trying to spend time with their loved ones during the holidays. But everything changes after 10 minutes when the train arrives at a specific station. The carriages deteriorate and rust, people go insane, and a bloodbath occurs. The stewardess, who was looking forward to a great first day at work, is traumatized by what she witnesses. Following that, we are transported back to 1988. Oh, Mi-sun is overjoyed because it is her birthday today. She is patiently awaiting her father's arrival with her special gift. Mi father Sons is a train conductor. Mi-sun plays with her toy train while her grandmother watches television. However, she quickly grows bored and attempts to attract the attention of her grandmother. Mi-sun shakes the old woman's shoulder when she doesn't respond, but the woman's lifeless body falls heavily onto the toy train, destroying it. We learn from the television that there has been a terrible accident, and the train carrying Mi-sun father Sons back home is now a mass of burning, crushed metal. It is then revealed that Mi grandmother Sons suffered a heart attack after learning of her son's death. Following that, we see the actual disaster scene. There are two small children, a boy and a girl, each with an injured arm. The children stare in horror at the body of their mother, who was killed while attempting to save them from the crash. Mi-sun is now a stewardess on a train, 15 years later. Some blame her father, who was a conductor on the derailed train. Mi-sun, on the other hand, ignores everyone and goes about her business. Later, we learn that the train is leaving Seoul Station for Yeosu at 11:50 p.m. There are many passengers on board, but the main ones are a couple, Hae-ju and her boyfriend, who are going on a honeymoon, a group of 4 paranormal activity investigators, and 2 other schoolgirls who have just bunked their classes. The train will then depart at the specified time. A couple arrives at the station later, and the wife is concerned that they missed the train. Surprisingly, a second train arrives at 12 a.m., and the couple boards it. Mr. Park, the captain of the first train, makes an announcement. He mentions that this is the train's final trip to Yeosu Station. Both he and the train will then retire. Furthermore, it has been revealed that some parts of the train use the same coaches as the crash train 15 years ago. As a result, many people believe that the train is haunted. Shortly after, the previous schoolgirls purposefully collide with Mi-sun food trolley and steal some chocolates. Mi-sun notices this, but she says nothing. Instead, she walks to a nearby corner and begins munching on one of the snacks. Jin-kyu, the train's conductor, interrupts her and invites her to Mr. Park's farewell party. Later, the pair, along with the staff head, attend the captain's farewell party and congratulate him on his retirement. Mr. Park returns to the control room after the party, where he notices a girl standing on the train track. Terrified, he quickly pulls on the brakes, causing all of the passengers to lose their balance for a few moments. But when he goes to check on the track, he finds no one there. The paranormal activity team then interviews one of the train passengers about his experience on the train. The man begins by stating that today is the 15th anniversary of the horrific accident. The passenger then reveals that every year on the anniversary of the incident, he travels on the train because he lost his parents on that fateful day. He also tells the investigation team that he saw a man with a briefcase on the train 3 years ago, but he quickly vanished into thin air. The passenger then leads the team to where the man was sitting. Soo-hee, one of the team's girls, notices a strange aura around the seat after learning this. Soo-hee is a psychic with the ability to see spirits. Mi-sun approaches a boy named Hu Wang on the train who is traveling alone and sketching some pictures in his drawing book. The boy informs the stewardess that his mother will meet him at the next stop. Mi-sun examines the drawing book and discovers that Hu Wang has drawn some passengers who were not on the train. But before she can take a closer look, the boy grabs it and tries to destroy it, forcing Mi-sun to flee. Soon after, she begins to notice strange things around the train. The vehicle begins to transform into an old and dark train, with spiders crawling all over it. She also begins to see the spirits of those who died in the crash 15 years before. But then everything returns to normal. Mi-sun then notices an unknown stewardess and follows her to the coach next door. Mi-sun trips her leg in the process, but when she gets up, she finds herself on the same old train, with new passengers. When she turns around, she sees a terrifying figure with long hair approaching her. Mi-sun screams in terror and corners in her seat, but the surroundings quickly return to normal, and the figure has changed into a black wig. Soo-hee, who has seen everything, picks up the wig and asks the passengers if it is theirs. No one says anything for a while, until one of the arrogant schoolgirls claims ownership and takes the wig with her. Mi-sun is later summoned by her staff supervisor, who chastises her for frightening the passengers. But, before things get out of hand, the train's conductor, Jin Kyu, arrives and convinces the supervisor to be gentle with Mi-sun because it's her first day on the job. After that, the terrified stewardess goes to rest. We are then taken to the second train in the following scene. The couple who boarded the train at 12 a.m. remain on board. Ju Mi, the wife, is terrified because there is no one else on the train except them. When Jong Yun looks around, he notices Professor Kim, who used to be his university professor. He then approaches the professor, who is holding a briefcase. The film then returns to the first train. The girl who lied about the wig goes to the restroom to try it on. But then she feels as if someone is grabbing her neck. The wig wraps around the girl's neck and chokes her to death when she tries to look around. The train then comes to a stop, and Mi-sun notices the boy, Hu Wang, unboarding from a window. She quickly follows him outside, afraid he'll get lost, but he's already gone. Mi-sun then decides to return to the train, but she is horrified to see her father sitting in one of the passenger seats. Fortunately, Jin Kyu reminds her that the train is leaving, causing Mi-sun to return to reality and rush into the train. Meanwhile, a woman enters the restroom to smoke. She appears to be in a bad mood because her boyfriend got off the train at the last station, leaving her alone. Just then, lights begin to flicker and a spirit attacks her. The film then moves on to the second train, where Professor Kim is conversing with another passenger. The passenger is none other than Mi father, Sons, who is displaying a music box that he intends to give to his daughter. Meanwhile, the professor explains that he is traveling to Yeosu to submit his dissertation, which is contained within his briefcase. We now know that the couple, Jong Yun and Ju Mi, boarded a ghost train that crashed 15 years ago. Furthermore, the professor and Mi father's sons are spirits who are unaware that they are dead. Jin Kyu and Mi-sun return to the first train and discover the body of the woman who had gone to the bathroom to smoke. The corpse appears to have been terrified to death. Jin Kyu rushes to notify the central office, while Mi-sun retrieves the deceased woman's phone. She discovers several unread messages from the woman's boyfriend, advising her to get off the train as soon as possible. He had apparently seen some spirits on the train after he had gotten off. Mi-sun, taken aback, walks away from the corpse. Suddenly, the train begins to transform back into an old one. Mi-sun encounters the same unidentified stewardess, who informs her that she made a mistake by working on that train. The stewardess then informs a perplexed and worried Mi-sun that they are all going to die. Distressed, Mi-sun starts screaming at the stewardess. However, it turns out that she is yelling at her female boss. After that, Mi-sun falls unconscious on the floor. While unconscious, she has a vision in which the unknown stewardess is revealed to have worked on the train that crashed 15 years ago. Her name was Jung Jin-soo, and while on duty, she accidentally kicked a bottle of poison, completely destroying it. But before we find out more, Mi-sun regains consciousness. Later, she discusses her visions and dreams with Jin Kyu, who is perplexed and doesn't understand anything. Mi-sun then decides to seek assistance from Soo-hee, the psychic. As the two converse, So-hee reveals that she, too, has been experiencing a strange aura since the train arrived at the last station. The two then proceed to the restroom, where the dead woman's body is found. So-hee tries to approach the corpse, but she becomes uneasy, as if something is stopping her. Hai-ju and her boyfriend are seen elsewhere. They are the same couple we saw at the beginning of the film, and they are on their way to their honeymoon. We learn from their conversation that Hai-ju is one of the two children who survived the accident 15 years ago. Meanwhile, Soo-hee discovers from a stack of newspapers that Hu Wang, the boy Mi-sun tried to find after he got off the train alone, died 15 years ago. We realize that the majority of the passengers Mi-sun is tending to are spirits from the horrific accident. On the other side of the train, one of Su's friends Hee's is killed by the stewardess, Jin-suk's spirit. When Mi-sun goes to check on Soo-hee, she finds him unconscious on the floor. Surprisingly, she has been stabbed. Before she dies, So-hee reveals feebly that the majority of the passengers on the train are possessed by ghosts from the past. Hai-ju and her boyfriend are among them, and they have been possessed by the spirits of the two children who died in a train crash with their parents 15 years ago, and they are intent on crashing the train. The most perplexing aspect is that the spirits themselves are unaware that they are dead, so they are traveling as passengers on the train. When Mi-sun learns of this, she rushes to confront the couple, but before she can explain that they have been possessed, boyfriend Ju stabs her from behind. Meanwhile, Jin Kyu is unable to get the train to stop at a station as planned. He becomes perplexed, and the passengers begin to worry as well. Mi-sun regains consciousness and notices her father next to her. The spirit calms her down and informs her that their train will collide with another train. And after the collision, all the spirits will realize they are already dead, and the strange phenomenon will come to an end. Jin Q then approaches her and prepares to take her back to safety. The lights suddenly go out, and the coach in which they are riding becomes old. They notice blood oozing from the floor, and the terrifying Jin Suk crawls out. When she tries to possess Mi-sun, Jin Q appears and tells her that he will always be with her. It is revealed here that Jin Q and Jin Suk used to date before the stewardess died in the accident. The spirit then leaves Mi-sun and slowly curls up in the arms of her ex-boyfriend. Meanwhile, as the lights in some coaches go out, glass starts falling on the passengers, and the spirits begin to realize they are in someone else's body. Mi-sun then goes to the control room, where she meets Haiju and her boyfriend. The couple assassinated the captain and altered the course of their train, causing it to collide with another train, killing everyone on board. Mi-sun tries to persuade Haiju that they have been possessed, and as a result, the latter begins to have visions. Haiju notices that she and her family were traveling on the train 15 years ago. They were supposed to be going to the beach to have fun, but the father had plans to kill them all with poison. His plans were foiled, however, when the stewardess, Jin Suk, accidentally kicked and destroyed the bottle. Enraged, the father dragged the stewardess into the control room, murdered her and the captain, and deliberately set the train on a collision course with another train. This is what caused the terrible accident more than a decade ago. Back in the present, Haiju's boyfriend repeatedly hits Mi Head Sons against the window, causing her to collapse. Haiju, on the other hand, reverts to her 15-year-old self. In the following scene, the spirit of Mi Father Sons enters the control room and steers the train out of danger, while Hai boyfriend Jules returns to his original self and begins comforting his sister. Shortly after, as the two trains, one natural and one haunted, begin to separate, things on the original train begin to return to normal. For instance, the ghosts start disassembling, the old coaches transform back to being normal again, and the terrified passengers start coming out of hiding. Mi-sun is consoled by her father in the control room, who tells her that they will see each other in heaven soon. She dies as a result of her head injuries. At the same time, the train finally comes to a halt. It's daylight, and the befuddled passengers disembark. In the final scene of the film, it is night again, and the train bound for Yeosu arrives at Seoul Station for its final run. We see Mi-sun on the platform, and she is once again a stewardess on this strange train journey.